I'm Nathaniel Price, and I am the writer of the adaptation of Mr. Loverman. It, it's about love, it's about family, it's about secrets, it's about lies, sex, betrayal, and then ultimately acceptance and forgiveness. It's a family at a crossroads. You know, everybody's got a secret that they're holding on to, but essentially, our protagonist, our main Barry, has the biggest secret of all, and it's kind of here where we join him, and he kind of endeavors to come out, not come out, sorry, but he endeavors to break up with his wife because he's been conducting a secret 50-year affair with his best friend Morris. So it's a really juicy situation that we find ourselves in. Well, it's a very faithful adaptation of the book. So yeah, as I say, like we're with a 74-year-old Antiguan-born gentleman Barry, who's very dapper. You know, loves a great, you know, loves to dress well. It's very about all about how he presents himself. But he's got a huge secret, and as I say, that secret is that he's been in a secret relationship with his best friend Morris for the past 50 years, unbeknownst to his wife Carmel, or to his two daughters, Donna and Maxine. Um, and then the series really explores the ripple effect of this that this lie has on the family. You know, there are various kind of provisions Barry makes in order to maintain the secret and to maintain his bravado, which has an impact on his daughters, which then filters down and has an impact on his grandson. So the series really is about. We start off with Barry making a decision that he's gonna leave Carmel so that he can conduct a secret. He can live in secret with Morris. And then throughout the course of the series, that sort of shifts. He realizes that actually he has to come out to her, but how can he do that? So I was aware of the book already because I had been actually approached by a different production company to adapt it, and they lost the rights. So when the opportunity came to do it, I absolutely jumped at the chance because I love the book, I love the characters, I love the story. I just felt it was a really important book, and B, it was really funny. You know, like it just really hit home, and I kind of felt like I knew these people, like I'd grown up and I'd seen these people and been around these people a lot. So it was yeah, it was an opportunity too good to pass up really for me. There is a pressure in the sense that Bernadine is a fantastic writer, obviously, and her work means so much to so many people. So there's a sort of self-imposed pressure, I think, that you don't want to, you want to do it justice. But then at the same time, it's a great honor. You know, it's a great honor to be able to take such fantastic material and adapt it and kind of mold it into something that you want it to be as well. So there's an opportunity there for you to really put your own stamp on it. And that was what really, really excites me. You know, like as I say, I love the characters and I love the story, but there was this golden opportunity to really kind of do something on my own as well at the same time. Yeah, and she's great. I so initially I pitched kind of my vision for how I would adapt the series, and that was during the first lockdown actually. So it's taken some time. TV always does. And she loved it. Like she really was happy with how I wanted to approach things, and she kind of left me to my own devices really to go off and do that. And then we didn't really have much correspondence until I had done four scripts, actually 4 episodes, and it had been greenlit by the BBC. And then we had a meeting, and we went through a few stuff, and she told me like kind of like she gave me notes essentially on like certain characters, character stuff, story stuff. But other than that, she's been very, very um, generous in just allowing me to crack on with things, and just trusted me, and I've been very, very, very thankful for that. Yeah, so you read the book, and I'd read it quite a while ago, and then I went back to it. But from the very first reading, as I say, I had a very clear idea of how I would approach it and how I'd adapt it. And Bernadine's a very visual, cinematic writer, so a lot of what she writes actually lends itself really well to screen. So it was. I mean, it's the hardest part of the adaptation process. Really, was kind of like deciding what I'd leave out of it. But what you do is you go through the book and kind of make a rough series arc, rough shape that you want to do. That sort of put tent poles in, the key moments that you will take you over the course of the series, and then you can start to like sort of break down episodically. What is this episode about? Who's driving the episode? And then once you have that, you kind of what I like to really do is write outlines. So I do an outline for episode 1 through to 8, and speak with the execs on that. We'll go back and forth. I might do 2 to 3 drafts of that. And then when it's given the approval to go ahead to script, I obviously go off and write the script and then go through various drafts of that as well. I think we've been very, very fortunate with the casting, to be honest. And Lennie is such a brilliant actor. He has got such great range and depth. Barry's a very complicated, nuanced character. And Lennie absolutely has the chops to go to those places, and he has the charisma of Barry. Barry is, for everyone that's read the book knows he's a very charismatic character. And Lennie can go to all the places that are required, and he's very generous. The whole cast, I think, is not just being brilliant actors in their own right. They're just very generous and they're very committed, and that's what you need. Like they've supported one another, and being on set and watching them work, watching Sharon, she's just incredible. The focus and the generosity that her, Lennie, and Ariyon give to the younger, less experienced actors on set who are playing, we flash back quite a bit in the show, and they're playing their younger children at various time points. And it's a beautiful thing to see, because that is the next generation coming up, and they're giving them advice, and then just being very caring of them. So it's not just what you see on screen; it's what happens behind the camera that I've been really impressed by. There's loads of scenes that I really, really can't wait to see. But the episode 1, it's a sequence more than a scene. But Barry's, as I say, he's kind of decided that he's gonna tell Carmel that he wants a divorce so that he can live in secret with Morris. And then when he's about to do that, Carmel returns from church with three of her friends, sorry, and they're sort of like God-fearing, very vocal women. And it's not only is it a very funny scene, but then it sort of turns into a very shocking scene, and it kind of just really speaks to how community can uplift you but at the same time can hinder you. And so I think it's gonna be really quite explosive to see that. And there's various Carmel. I'm really excited for episode 4 because we go back to where Carmel came from. So in Antigua, she returns home, and we get to learn so much more about her. So a lot of what we see is from Barry's POV essentially, and then we learn a lot about Carmel and her past, and then we see that it's not whiter than white. So it's going to be really interesting. And then obviously the whole series builds to a final sort of climactic showdown between Barry and Carmel, which is it's really, really moving. So yeah, I can't wait to see that. Sexuality, particularly anti-gay bias, the violence as well, historically, how it's kind of been, historically it's been harder for gay black men to come out for various reasons. And then toxic masculinity, so not just in terms of sexuality, but how we allow people to define who we are, how we get our sense of identity, what it means to be a man, particularly a black man, and who kind of who holds the key to that, who deems what it is to be black. So the Daniel, the younger grandson of Barry, really goes through that sort of ordeal in the series. It's just a very key theme. And then acceptance is a huge, not just for Barry but for the whole family, as they say they're all going through their various struggles, and learning to accept yourself and other people normally means that you have to deal with something that's not quite right within yourself, and how you view the world, and what kind of is holding you back in that regard. So I'd say acceptance is quite a key thing. So when people sit down to watch Mr. Loverman, I really hope they can relate to it in some part. There's something that in all the characters that I feel like will be relatable and people can identify with in a sense. And there's a really key thematical question I think that runs through the series, and it relates to, is it ever too late to start over? Have a second chance. And it really speaks to the brilliant quote at the start of the book by James Baldwin, which is, not everything that is faced in life can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. And I really feel like, that's not just true for Barry, but it's true for all the characters. There are things that they need to come to terms with, and there's things that they need to deal with. And it's just taking that first step initially that makes all the difference. Working with Hong was a real joy for me. With this being my first solo project, I worked very closely with Hong, and it was just lovely having somebody come through and give their authentic take on what you're writing about. And he's so clever and he's so switched on and he's such a beautiful lyrical director. And so I reworked a lot of the episodes and some scenes based on our collaboration and on Hong's feedback. And I just, watching him on set, he's so calm with the actors and stuff. He's so calm with everybody, and even when things, like, can be quite hectic. And he's just, yeah, I've never seen Hong, ruffled. And he's a brilliant captain. He's steered the ship fantastically. So I think the ending of Mr. Loverman hopefully just really gives us a sense of hope, a hope for the future. So although we may not leave everybody, resolved, there is potential there. There is hope that they'll start down the path to forgiveness and recovery in their own right.